down the job. Here are the candidates expected to get a call from Lakers GM Rob Pelinka to resume conversations. New Orleans Pelicans assistant James Borrego, ABC TV analyst J.J. Redick, and Boston Celtics assistant Sam Cassell. Former Lakers head coach Darvin Ham is returning to the Milwaukee Bucks as an assistant. Ham agreed to join Doc Rivers' staff. Ham will be Rivers' #1 assistant. Ham was an assistant with the Bucks for 4 years before getting hired by the Lakers in 2022. Congrats to Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. He was given a contract extension that keeps him with the team through 2027. Tomlin is preparing for his 18th season with the Steelers, the longest tenure among active NFL head coaches. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
When I move my body, I feel like freedom. Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
And they wondered if a black talk radio station would work in Southern California.
Y'all did it!
Well, KBLA Talk 1580 toasts its 3rd anniversary on Juneteenth, and you're invited to celebrate with us.
Hey, Tavis Riley, y'all the bomb.
All you have to do is go to KBLA1580.com right now and sign up. Admission is free, but mandatory, and space is limited. Once we reach capacity, we'll have to cut off the online registration, but it's open right now.
Oh my God!
So don't delay.
Thank you guys for being the best at what you do.
Log on to KBLATalk1580.com right now and register to join us for an afternoon of good music, good people, and good vibes.
Happy anniversary.
Wednesday, June 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will provide the food and drink, but be sure to bring your low-back chairs, blankets, and your personal picnic baskets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's celebrate 3 years of being the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of news and information.
We love you, KBLA.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're black and stride again.
Black and stride again.
Happy anniversary.
And this is what it feels like. And this is what it feels like. Look, the only reason I survive, cause it's special first. You get successful, then it gets stressful thirst. Gonna test you, see what your texture's worth. Diamonds and pipes, one of them pressure burst. Street, still I get checks and spurts. I'm for peace, but before I get pressed, I murk. Better days pray for, but expecting worse. At this level, boy, I'm just less concerned. Cruising in the 6, looking at the proceeds of rap music on my wrist. Drop another mixtape, my booming out this young Malcolm. I'm the leader of the movement out this love. And this is what it feels like. Reach a level, make you question, is it real life? All of good, all of real tight. And the only rule, keep your dollar bills right. This is what it feels like.
KBLA Talk 1580. This is what it feels like to be elected council president for the city of Los Angeles. Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson is joining me. He represents the 8th District of Los Angeles, chairs the city's Planning and Land Use Management Committee, and he has been a long-time community organizer, as many know, recently picked to be the next leader of our Los Angeles City Council. Marqueece Harris-Dawson, welcome and congratulations.
Good morning, Dominique. Thank you, and good morning to the KKBLA family.
Yes, indeed. I was talking about, when I heard the news that you were ascending to the presidency of the city council. You'll be the second black person ever to hold that spot. You started out with, well, at least in my, not in your whole life, but in my understanding of your journey, starting out in Community Coalition as a youth organizer, and to go from that to city council president is quite a journey.
It is quite a journey, and, working on behalf of the people have responded. And so we've had a lot of great opportunities, both at the Community Coalition and in the City Council.
Yeah, well, hopefully it makes a bunch of people run and sign their kids up for South Central Youth Empowered Through Action and get them trained up to be community organizers. What from that background as an organizer is coming into play here?
Well, I mean, I think as an organizer at a place like Community Coalition or, some of the other places we have, it's very nice now to be on a council that has, organizers from other parts of the city and who work on other issues. But one of the things that you learn is, you've got to engage everybody, even the people that disagree with you, especially the people that disagree with you, and that if you commit to the process and commit to the conversations, you can come up with a situation that actually moves the needle on behalf of our folks.
Yeah. It seems impossible when you look to Washington, but it's a different dynamic in a city or a county, right?
It's a different dynamic in a city or a county. And what I would say about Washington that's different about Los Angeles is in Washington, it seems like people who don't agree with each other don't talk to each other. And so, you can't ever come up with something that works and that can actually move the cause forward. People take much more pleasure in wallowing in their disagreement rather than finding areas of agreement.
Yeah, some of it is grandstanding, right?
And grandstanding and getting clicks and all the rest. Sometimes people evaluate their work on how many times they appear on social media rather than how life changed for the people they represent.
Wow, clout chasing politicians. That's wild.
No, all the time. I think politicians might have made that up.
It's a secret course that you can take.
Yeah.
So you got the council on board for your presidency. You had a 14-0. No detractors. Was that surprising?
It was obviously you're engaged in conversations, all the way up until the last minute before the vote. There are definitely lots of differences on the council, but the council made the decision to unify behind one candidate, and that was me. And I think that that's healthy for the council going forward.
Now you have Krikorian leaves in September, I think, and then that's when you step into the post, right?
That's right. And so that does a couple of things. It gives, some lead time so that everybody has opportunity to prepare for the change, including, Council President Krikorian and myself. And it leaves some time that he's still here, still on the council, while we have a new council president. The last change that we went through, literally, we had a council president one day, and then the next day we didn't. And we actually didn't even know who the new council president was going to be. And so we didn't want a repeat of that. And so he worked with me and other members of the council to bring about a change that was much more predictable.
So that way you'll actually be able to have some transition time and sort of master that job, which is a pretty massive job, actually.
It is a massive job, and you do need time, even just to know where various things are, because there's a lot of information that the leader of the council might know that the members are not asked to deal with. And so knowing where we left off, what the momentum or trajectory was on a given issue, I think is very, very important. What arrangements have been made, between the mayor, police chief, and folks like that. It's important to know, one, what has happened, and two, what the history is.
This is this, of course, you'll take that spot right before the election, which should be interesting. Which could also change the shape of the council a bit.
Yeah, I think the election will change the shape of the council. We'll have at least one new member, and we will lose the council president, and so that by itself.
He's termed out, right?
He's termed out. Yeah, his time is up. So he's an incredibly large and influential figure on the council. So that change alone will be a big one. And then as you know, we have other contested races.
Yeah, not the least of which is the Kevin De Leon seat. I don't know why I'm calling it his seat, because I personally hope it doesn't continue to be his seat. But you will have to govern that body, whether he wins re-election or you have a new progressive voice on the council in Isabel Jurado. How will you navigate that?
Well, I mean, look, I have worked with Kevin, before the controversies, and I've actually worked with him a little bit since the controversies. And so, have the capacity to do that, he will, get a hearing in front of the voters, and whatever the voters of the 14th district say, those of us on the city council have to figure out how to make that work for the city.
The council has moved significantly in honor of Reverend James M. Lawson, I'll say, to the side of justice, because he told me to stop calling people left and right and just say they're on the side of justice or they're not. I don't know if I can keep that up, but for today I'm trying. It's certainly moved more on the side of justice, people that would be described as progressives. I think at one point you were probably the most progressive member of the council, and some would argue that's not true anymore. How does the ascendance, number one, of someone like you who is identified more progressive, but also this influx of new folks, change the way we govern or change what the opportunities that we have are?
Well, I think it presents tremendous opportunities, and the main opportunity that I think it presents actually doesn't have to do with ideology. It has to do with the way of doing business, how differences are handled. One of the fascinating things about this council is it's the first time that I can remember since I've been paying attention to the council, which is, since the late 80s, that a majority of the members are in their first term. So irrespective of people's political ideology, they're just new and they're there to get stuff done. There is less of the sort of more traditional political approaches that elected officials have been known to make. We don't come to it where people have known each other or have been fighting with each other for decades. You come with really a fresh set of eyes, looking at a lot of the problems the city faces, and it gives us an opportunity to pursue solutions that might have been overlooked before.
We don't have old baggage, so we have the opportunity to make new baggage.
That is exactly right. Exactly right. And to chart a new path. To chart a new path. So many people ask me, and I think Dominique, this probably wasn't on your list of questions, but so many people ask me, particularly from the mainstream press, well, how does it work that you're the council president and you have this a close relationship with the mayor? Those two entities are supposed to be, checks on each other or in opposition to each other. And actually, no, there's no rule that says that. There's no rule that says the council and the mayor can't work together, that the council and the mayor can't have a cooperative relationship and a productive relationship. And so, again, this is an opportunity to break with the old way. Yeah,
that's an interesting way of putting it. I think I would have asked a different question. But, that's like saying the Congress and the president have to fight. Why? If you're in the same party and the legislative branch and the executive branch are on the same page, that means presumably the voters put them there to complete that platform and get some of those policies enacted.
No, I think that's exactly right. And then the question is, what works for the people? Like, what works on behalf of Angelenos? Does us struggling with each other work, or does working in cooperation work for our folks? And so I think obviously the latter, but we'll have an opportunity to test that out in the presidency.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We're talking with Council President-elect Marqueece Harris-Dawson. You've said houselessness will be number 1, 2, and 3. Want to hear what that looks like, especially since we're talking about the kind of aligned vision between you and longstanding relationship between you and Mayor Karen Bass. We'll look at that and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant black folk talking about the urgency of now. climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m., live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And we're talking with Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson. He is over the 8th District, where I am currently sitting. And he has recently been unanimously actually elected president of the City Council, a role he will begin in September, although I'm quite sure there's preparations going on. You've said repeatedly that houselessness, helping the unhoused, is your top priority. Certainly that is in alignment with the priorities of the mayor. How will you be able to, meet that commitment as council president?
Has
there he goes.
Been aggressive and had urgency around homelessness, and the council wants to help promote that, make that as good as it possibly can be. But also, each council district is in a race to build housing. We want to make sure that we use all the strength we have to make that go as quickly, efficiently, and produce as much quality housing as we can, as fast as we can. Also, there are other interventions that council members have brought forward and feel passionate about. Many of them are supported by the mayor. The circle programs, the mental health response teams. All of us go through this struggle. We're driving in our cars, or we have maybe a person on our block that they need help from somebody, but it doesn't need to necessarily be someone with metal and lights and loud sounds like a firefighter or a police officer. And so how do we put those folks in place to go out and respond to those situations? So unarmed response, crisis response, speeding up the production of housing are all things that I think we can do to confront the homelessness problem.
And, a lot of conversation right now about transparency, right? This audit that is ongoing and the reporting around waste of the dollars, not just in Los Angeles, but statewide. In taking on houselessness. Is there a role that you can play as council president in making sure that is thorough, but does not stop the progress that we need to be making on helping the unhoused?
Right. No, I think that's a big role the council can play. I'm actually very excited, and I think the council is enthusiastic about the audit that Judge Carter called for, because that audit really looks at how do we take this program and make it better and correct the things that are inefficient or ineffective. And you get that as a result of the audit. The council has a tremendous auditing authority, and so it is the responsibility of the council to look at, how resources are being spent, but also how effective they are. Are we getting for the dollars we're spending what we intended to get?
Speaking of auditing, the LA Times had this big editorial saying that you guys, by you guys, I mean the city council, can't be trusted to reform yourself because the ethics commission policies that were, that were on the table were, I guess, altered by the city council, and they claim that you guys watered down the oversight of yourselves, and given what we have seen with Jose Huizar, with Mitch Englander, allegedly with Marco Lee Thomas, although you know where I stand on that, and Kern Price. Is that a fair assessment? I mean, do you think, and what do you think you might change, if anything, in that role, or does anything need to be changed to the way business is done and the way it's perceived as being done?
Well, I think the perception is a big deal. I think, there is this, I get a little bit frustrated because I feel like there's this fantasizing about the Ethics Commission, a body who I dare say the average person doesn't even know who they are.
Right.
But the point I would make is they're human beings too, and they're not a special category of human beings because they've got that appointment. So we need to look at the system top to bottom. And here's the deal with politics. Here is the bottom line. Politicians have more opportunity for corruptions than the average worker or professional in almost any field. And so that means there has to be vigilance on every front. Vigilance with the Ethics Commission, vigilance among ourselves, looking over each other's shoulders to see what we're doing, and vigilance among our constituency. So that's what I think will really help deal with the amount of corruption we have. I think, here's the thing about rules. It is the existing rules that exposes the people that are in trouble now. And so, theoretically, if you believe the outcome of these cases, these folks broke the rules and they got caught. And so what that, to me, is a sign of a healthy situation rather than an unhealthy one.
And you have, for a long time, been working on this idea of changing the way we do traffic stops, what activists call cops out of stops. And, some of those kinds of policies, will you be able to continue pushing forward on those in the role of council president, where you have to be more of like, in harmony with everybody, keeping everybody's interests in mind, as opposed to the 8th District and our concerns?
Well, thank you for that question. Look, I believe the way we deal with traffic stops is flawed in many, many ways, as we've discussed on this program before. And I actually believe that's a citywide issue and not only an 8th District issue, although it is a big issue in the 8th District. So I think I'll continue to press that as council president. In fact, so today in Public Safety Committee, I think it's at 1:00, that issue will be taken up. And we expect it to go through committee fine and come to the council. That motion that's before us will really begin to set in place policies to change how we do traffic enforcement in the city of LA. I think it's very, very important, because I think if LA figures this out, the nation will figure it out. The traffic stop is notorious across the country, particularly in Black communities, but other communities as well, because so much can go wrong during a traffic stop that oftentimes does not require a person with a gun.
Yeah. So what does the motion do? I mean, I know there was a lot of groundwork that would need to be laid statewide and even citywide, on the county level to really change how we do traffic stops. So which piece of the puzzle is this?
So today's piece of the puzzle is the city council, and we trust we'll get the support of the mayor, as directing the Department of Transportation mainly, but also the police department, to come up with protocols and processes by which traffic enforcement can be done by folks other than sworn police officers. And so we'll get that request. Generally, the way these kinds of things work is they come back to us and they say, hey, here's how it can be done. And then the council decides to fund it, pilot it, or do it on a mass scale.
And so obviously that's like step number one on the city level is tell us how you can get this done. And then, you'll have to probably, I would imagine, create multiple motions in order to keep moving that towards living, breathing policy.
No, that's right. And especially with something like this, because it is so ingrained in how business is done on a regular basis. So to unwind it, takes a lot of detailed, fine-tuned work.
Yeah. We've got a couple minutes here before news, traffic, and sports, and then we'll continue on the other side. We always hear, the first black or the second black or, the first black woman, this or that or the other. But when you look at specifically, I think, statewide or citywide, in the case of a giant municipality like Los Angeles, how significant is it to have black leadership in a role like that?
Well, I think, I always it's a very serious subject, but I always kind of chuckle at it because the news media, the pundits have been pronouncing the death of black political power in this city for years, for as long as I can remember, frankly. And, we keep finding a way to stay involved and to find positions of leadership, whether it's, Speaker of the State House or Council President. I'm the second Council President in 10 years, second African-American Council President in 10 years. And so, that to me is the beauty and the resilience of our community, is that we keep finding a way to find a way. And I think, the council support of me and openness to me as council president is an example of that.
I mean, the fact that you got 14-0 now, one council member was not present, and we don't know how she would have voted, but that represents a certain amount of unity. Talk a little bit more about that when we come forward, but you want to give me a minute on that right here before we go into news?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think, the unity is very, very important. And I think leading with unity, which is something our community knows about as well as anybody, is something that the city and frankly, the country longs for. Can people, one, get along with each other, and two, stay focused on the issue until we come up with a solution? And, I think that's what this council has committed to doing, and what the council demonstrated by, sort of unifying in a way to create a 14-0 vote.
Yep. We've got news, traffic, and sports coming up. We're talking with Los Angeles City Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson. He is over District 8, and starting in September, he will be leading the Los Angeles City Council as its president. More straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain is under investigation for allegations he abused his power as union president. A watchdog appointed by a federal court is looking into Fain and whether the union has been obstructing the investigation. In a court filing Monday, the watchdog said it had been working for months to get the union's cooperation and is also investigating a regional director for possible embezzlement. A medical examiner says the death of a black veteran in police jail custody in Texas is a homicide. Marine Corps veteran Anthony Johnson Jr. died in April in Fort Worth after he was restrained for allegedly refusing to leave his cell. Detention officers pepper sprayed Johnson, who was previously diagnosed with schizophrenia. No word yet on what charges might be filed. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers will try to renew their search for a new coach after Dan Hurley rocked the franchise Monday when he turned down the job. Here are the candidates expected to get a call from Lakers GM Rob Pelinka to resume conversations. New Orleans Pelicans assistant James Borrego, ABC TV analyst J.J. Redick, and Boston Celtics assistant Sam Cassell. Former Lakers head coach Darvin Ham is returning to the Milwaukee Bucks as an assistant. Ham agreed to join Doc Rivers' staff. Ham will be Rivers' #1 assistant. Ham was an assistant with the Bucks for 4 years before getting hired by the Lakers in 2022. Congrats to Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. He was given a contract extension that keeps him with the team through 2027. Tomlin is preparing for his 18th season with the Steelers, the longest tenure among active NFL head coaches. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or ceiling paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its Reparations Advisory Commission invites you to join us on LA's Road to Reparations. Join us in person on Juneteenth, Wednesday, June 19th, 10 a.m. at All People Community Center, 822 East 20th Street, Los Angeles, California, 90111, to learn the results of Black Experience Survey, focus groups, and one-on-one interviews, and to learn how you can share your input to develop LA City reparations. For more info, visit laisforeveryone.com today or call 213-978-1845.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
And yes, we are talking with Council President to be. He'll be taking the spot in September. Marqueece Harris-Dawson, who is over the 8th Council District. And the folks in the YouTube chat have a lot to say. Councilmember Harris-Dawson, everyone's saying, MJ Scott and others are saying, congratulations to you. And then they're talking about a lot of different things. Morris Phillips wants to know what's the difference between affordable housing and public housing. And I think, along with that goes, like, when you talk about creating new housing, what is true affordability, especially in a district like the 8th?
Well, those are good questions and it's a topic that's confusing to a lot of people. Public housing is housing that the government owns, where the government is the landlord. So Jordan Downs or, the Pueblos or Imperial Courts would be an example of that. Affordable housing has a private owner, just like any other apartment does, except that it has a covenant on it that in exchange for the right to build or some government assistance in building, the owner puts a covenant on that building that caps the rent at a third of the income of the tenant that qualifies at that moment. And so we have affordable housing at all levels. Affordable housing can be 100% AMI. That means area median income. That's around somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. Or it can be capped at 30% AMI. That means you only make $30,000 or less. And so different affordable housing projects have different standards. Most of them, I will say, are mixed, partly because I think people just like the idea of, people at different incomes being able to live near or in the same property with each other. And then some of them are, sort of all homeless housing or all housing for domestic violence victims, for example, or all for seniors. So there's a big variety when you say the term affordable housing. But in general, what the system tries to do is to create something that covers everyone.
And I know the mayor has, been working on getting these various lists of vacant properties or city-owned properties, I should say. There was an interesting article about some of those metro properties, I guess that's county, that people were squatting in during the emergency phase of the pandemic. It seems like we might be at the point where we have to look at public housing again, not as in housing projects, but how can the city and the county buy it? And I know the county's already doing, but how can the city step up in terms of buying and owning housing that we can control for permanent supportive housing for, the unhoused and truly affordable apartments?
No, I agree. I think we need to be trying everything at this point. One of the drawbacks, oddly enough, to this affordable housing model, where a private developer builds the housing with a covenant. Those covenants last 50 years. Well, guess what's happening all over South LA and all through Mid-City and in the Northeast Valley? Those covenants are starting to expire because housing that was built in the 60s and 70s, they're at the end of their 50 years. So guess what happens to those units? Those units become market rate and not affordable for the vast majority of our folks. And so when the government owns something, the advantage is it is affordable forever. So, Imperial Courts will never be a market rate development. And so, that's something that we have to look at. But I think we got to do all of it. We got to do the private sector, you got to do the public sector, state, county, and city.
Someone in the chat says, I can't read it because it already scrolled past the capacity of my laptop, but someone was saying developers are part of the problem when it comes to houselessness. And I hate to just demonize people, but it does seem like that is true. And I wonder, Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson, if developers should even be contributing to any political campaign on a city level when the council and the mayor have so much say-so about what projects go forward.
Well, donations directly or indirectly from developers are not legal anymore. And in fact, that's in the city of Los Angeles. There are state restrictions, but they're not as stringent as the restrictions on LA City office holders or folks seeking office in the city of LA. So that's already the case. But yeah, look, when you have a system where it is based on profit, then you automatically create a problem, because a developer is only going to do, as almost any of us who were in business would do, they're only going to do what makes them a profit. They're not going to do what loses money. And so if you have a situation where the cost of land is higher than the rents people can afford to pay, you get the system like the one we have here in Southern California.
I mean, I don't think we need to force people to make decisions that don't make the money. Like, we need to force them to be unprofitable in their business model. But so then there has to be a business model where places people can afford to live are profitable for the developers. And I'm not sure what that is, but.
Or we say housing is not something you make money on.
Yeah, well. Seems like we're we're a long way from that. It seems like, no?
Well, I think we're a long way from that. But basically, right now, what happens is we subsidize housing that is built by developers, in which there is a profit. So at some point, the voters might say, well, why should we subsidize this profit-making venture when the government could just do it ourselves?
Well, and one thing for sure, and I'm looking at my brother Raz in the city of Newark, one thing for sure, we need to disincentivize the commodification of housing and the purchasing of housing by these big corporations that don't care if people in cities are unhoused, that only have profit. I mean, to me, it should be more like a public utility at least, and I know, they're making it harder in Newark for big corporations to buy up housing stock.
Well, that's certainly a concern here in Los Angeles as well. A lot of the units that you see in places like South LA, in fact, in some months, it's a majority of the sales are actually to corporations and not to families. And you see what's happening is corporations stockpiling housing, waiting for the price of rent to go high enough for them to make a profit off of it. And when that happens, that will mean they stay and we go.
Okay, so I did not realize, I thought that only certain developers were banned from making contributions. I did not realize it was a wider spread ban. So I guess that's reassuring.
The city of LA has a very aggressive, very, very aggressive program.
Per 2022.
Probably one of the most aggressive in the country. Pretty
recent though, right? Fairly recent.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. I think the last cycle was the first cycle that it was in effect.
Okay. Let's see. The other question here in the chat is someone says, it's Paul, who's saying, what do you guys plan to do about street takeovers? And he's citing the recent AutoZone incident where there was a bunch of people who went in and stole stuff from AutoZone as one example.
Yeah, the street takeovers are a mess. They're dangerous and frightening, and they bring all kinds of terror. I think this is a place where you do need law enforcement. This is an example of something that this needs to be police officers, and to deal with this in a way where it can be prevented. Because I will tell you, is once these takeovers happen, to have a bunch of police cars chasing other race cars is just absolutely horrifying for a neighborhood and dangerous. And so this is a thing where, I think prevention is key. And, folks got to infiltrate these networks. Say, this is the same country that did COINTELPRO, and we could follow around Dr. King and Malcolm X and all these people. Well, we need to figure out, what is the science of these takeovers, when they happen, when we can expect them to happen, where we can expect them to happen, and try to get in front of them before they start.
I mean, I also would love to see we used to have Terminal Island, some kind of place where folks can go and legitimately do that, where we can just not only suppress and repress, but say, hey, you should be over here, this, whatever it is, this old Army base or whatever it is, where you can race and do that, and not face sanctions,
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you on that. The one thing I will say that that was frankly disheartening for me is that was actually done, right? So a space was created in Irwindale where there is actually a racetrack. Like there is a space for that. And we made it, it was made available by the county sheriffs, and people wouldn't go.
Well, I mean, I wonder if that had anything to do with the county sheriffs, though. Just wondering.
I don't doubt that it did.
I don't know if I'd go if they invited me. I'm just saying.
Right, and I'll tell you what the people said. When some people were caught, and they said, well, why wouldn't you all use this? here we go again. They said the chances of us getting stopped on the way to Irwindale are extremely high.
Yeah. Well,
and so here we go with the traffic stops again.
Right.
So that was the reason folks gave for not wanting to drive out there and use that space.
And of course, this is not a city issue. I guess it's a county, state, although it touches a city. But I think police chases should be outlawed unless the person is a serial killer, because you're chasing someone and endangering citizens over a stolen car. Really? When you have helicopters that could follow that person around and drones and all this other technology, you have to chase people through city streets. I think that's a travesty.
Yeah, I mean and then our news media shows it as if it's entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
And so it sensationalizes something that is an inherently dangerous activity.
That may be the legacy of OJ. We want to see these chases, but I don't find it entertaining. I changed the channel. I know this is not a city issue, but I have to report it. Marqueece Harris-Dawson, the jury has found Hunter Biden guilty on all counts. Could be looking at up to 25 years in prison and a fine of $750,000. That's the first time that a president's immediate family member has been found guilty of a crime during their parents' or relatives' term in office. And here we go again. As we started off talking about the partisanship and how difficult it is to get things done. I imagine this is going to be a factor in the 2024 election as well.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. We live in a country where I'm just watching The Wire myself, and you have people celebrating somebody basically having an admitted drug problem. It's a lot.
Yeah, an admitted drug problem, which many of us have in our family, regardless of what side of the aisle we are on. And also the charge is he lied about being a drug addict to get a gun. Like, who puts on any form, yes, I am a drug addict.
Right.
So there's that.
Least of all drug addicts do that.
Right, exactly.
Least of all drug addicts. That's what addiction means.
Right, exactly. Well, we'll continue our conversation with Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
If you're an adult in need of an accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You could earn one for free in as few as 5 months, online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach, plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its Reparations Advisory Commission invites you to join us on LA's Road to Reparations. Join us in person on Juneteenth, Wednesday, June 19th, 10 a.m. at All People Community Center, 822 East 20th Street, Los Angeles, California, 90111, to learn the results of Black Experience Survey, focus groups, and one-on-one interviews, and to learn how you can share your input to develop LA City reparations. For more info, visit laisforeveryone.com today or call 213-978-1845.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Get ready to play. Join the LA84 Foundation Saturday, June 29th for a free Playday block party at 2141 West Adams Boulevard with sports, games, and fun for all ages. With live music, amazing local food, and the spirit of LA's 1984 Summer Olympics celebrating 40 years of impact of the LA84 Foundation. June 29th at LA84's campus in West Adams from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Register at la84.org. See you at Playday.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And it does. We're talking with Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson, who's over Council District 8, and he will be ascending to the council presidency. A lifelong South Los Angeles person. I first met Councilmember Harris-Dawson when he was a youth organizer at a community coalition. And we kind of got cut off by news at one point. We were talking about unity. Community coalition was certainly mentioned, name-checked in that infamous City Hall, infamous tape. It wasn't actually at City Hall. It was the LA County Fed, but it was featuring, LA City Council members along with the leader of the Fed at the time. And there's been a lot of conversation about what do we have to do to get back the trust in the City Council by the people and by one another. And clearly there's some poetic justice in having a black council leader in the aftermath of that. Do you have plans, or do you think there's anything else that needs to be done to heal us from that debacle?
Well, yes. I mean, look, I think, getting through this next election cycle, I think, we have a bit of a clean slate opportunity. Also, on the 2026 ballot will be or actually in November, will be the opportunity to change the way redistricting is done in the city so that you won't have sitting members of the council drawing lines for their own district, which was, sort of the cause of that conversation in general. But, redistricting has been a problem for council presidents going back several decades.
Yeah.
And so, it's not just with the people in that room. It's happened before that. So this, what will be before the voters this November, will give us an opportunity to change that system and change it.
Are you supporting that? Are you supporting that measure?
I'm supportive of that measure.
Okay.
Again, I think we got to look at those things as they unfold, but I think the idea that I, as a politician, get to draw the lines and pick the voters I want is always going to produce problems. And so this, it's that's just kind of a natural thing that will happen. And so I think that change will be significant.
And another piece of that conversation is the dynamics between African American and Latino people in the city of Los Angeles. I mean, for some reason, it's always that. A community coalition has a history of creating effective, coalitions. It's in the name, around specific pieces of legislation and specific changes to South LA. Can that work on a citywide level?
I think it can work on a citywide level. We're going to work as hard as the dickens to do so. Look, I think when you give folks a choice, they will choose being productive, being unified, moving forward in a harmonious way. That doesn't mean we agree on everything. That doesn't mean we drop all our differences to the wayside. What it means is that we emphasize the positive and we emphasize what we can actually accomplish rather than foregoing accomplishments in the name of having some grand debate.
And, of course, the budget, it's an ongoing process, is controversial. We had some folks vote against it. You voted for it. The ongoing main sticking point is how much of our city resources do we hand over to policing?
Well, that certainly is a sticking point, and I think there are concrete ways to reform that without compromising public safety at all, and we'll see the council pursue that. But I think one of the main sticking point in this budget is every year I've been on the council, including the COVID years, the city's had a surplus, and this year we did not have a surplus. We actually had a deficit, so we had to do some cuts. At the same time, the contracts for all the city workers, not just the police department, have come up. And across the board, effectively, we've given everybody a 20% raise, which everybody deserves because people forego. Unions set aside raises that they were scheduled to get during the pandemic. And so now that bill is coming due, and it's coming due all at once. And so this is a very, very tough budget year.
Well, Councilmember Marqueece Harris-Dawson, I certainly appreciate you spending the hour with us and, getting into the weeds about what's happening in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Big fun. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. This is one of the things we aim to do is keep you in the know. Tavis Smiley's up next. You know that. He's got a great show on deck for you, as always. And I'm going to go to my dad today for my closing quote, even though earlier we played some words from the late Reverend James M. Lawson. My dad says a man is either free or he's not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom. I guess Amiri Baraka would be the proper name for the author of that quote. Don't forget to connect with me on social media. We're at KBLA 1580 on all platforms. You can find the council member there as well, MHD CD8, and KBLA 1580 is where you can find this radio station. History is now, and we are making it together. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain is under investigation for allegations he abused his power as union president. A watchdog appointed by a federal cooperation and is also investigating a regional director for possible embezzlement. A medical examiner says the